I wanted to do a quick little video today about Asteya, which is a Sanskrit word that means non-stealing, and it comes from the Yoga Sutras. It's the third yama. There's 10 yamas and niyamas, and think of these as principles, guidelines. And I've been talking about ahimsa, which is nonviolence, and then satya, which is truth. And then this kind of leads into Asteya, which is about non-stealing. And it kind of happened today. I was covering a yoga class for a friend, and it was interesting because we were talking about satya, which is truth, and about relative truth and absolute truth, and how there are things that we can control and things that we cannot control, and also that there are certain stories that we either spin in our heads, ideas, limiting beliefs that are, let's say, truth with a lowercase t, and then there's absolute universal truths with a capital T, and those are a little bit more thematic. It's like, for example, we're all, let's say, breathing and moving together in the class. We're all having an experience of trying to deepen our connection inwards to ourselves, mind, body, spirit, right? We're all trying to become more loving, more compassionate, more kind. These are some universal truths. Then the relative truths could be, oh, I can't do this. Oh, that person's better than me. Oh, I'm not enough. Oh, I'm whatever it is, right? We tell ourselves these things. I'm not strong enough. I'm not flexible enough. I'm not good enough. And of course, that comes back to ahimsa, which is about nonviolence, non-injury, using not only our actions, but our words and our thoughts. You know, how are we injuring ourselves with the kinds of words, the kinds of attitudes that we're choosing to adopt? And what was really interesting, which was a microcosm of what's actually happening with the outbreak in the northern beaches here in Sydney that happened in class, was that this particular student, and I don't mean to say this as a way to shame or point fingers, because everything that happens is an opportunity to explore and to deepen. So I'm just using this example as it was just the perfect thing that happened. And to some people, some people approached me after class and said, oh my God, I can't believe that woman said that and she did that. But I don't actually see it as a bad thing or a good thing. It was just a reflection of what is happening right now. And so what happened was, first of all, I'm covering, right? This is not a normal class situation. So whatever's happening right now with the new outbreak, it's changed a lot of teacher schedules. Some people in the northern beaches can't come down to some of the other studios. And so there's been a rearrangement last minute of scheduling because people had to readapt. And then the second thing was, I tend to use music as a way to amplify certain kinds of experiences, especially the emotionality of what's being experienced. And I find that vibration is very helpful if it's curated in a certain way, right? So I had a very particular flow to a very specific playlist. And this woman got out of a particular shape and got really frustrated and said, this isn't a yoga beat. This isn't yoga music. So clearly she was expressing that she had some frustration going on with not being able to drop into what she perceived as yoga, as the perfect environment, the perfect space to go inwards, right? And it reminded me of a teacher of mine in New York who said that the best place to meditate is in New York City with a bunch of fire trucks running around and police cars and just all the noise. I mean, if you've ever been to New York, where I'm from, it's very busy. It's go, go, go. And that environment, it's not perfect. It's not an ideal place to practice yoga or meditation, but it's the best place because it cultivates a sense of resilience. It allows us to actually sift out what is true and what is not true and what is an illusion, right? And this was exactly that, because here is one person who is not conscious of it. And, I brought it up and said, okay, thank you for that. And I said, it's interesting. As people were in down dog, I said, it's interesting, isn't it, to notice the kinds of thoughts that we spin about certain kinds of experiences that might be bringing up conflict, or we don't agree with it, we can't control it. And this is exactly what's happening around New South Wales right now. We had 0 transmissions for 12 days, and all of a sudden You know, we have 30 some odd transmissions now, and people are still looking for patient zero. Where did it come from? Was it from air crew? Was it from someone coming in that snuck out of quarantine? Nobody really knows. And so now the northern beaches are locked down. We can't control things. People are upset that they can't return home to visit their families. They had some plans, and right. And then when we put things into perspective, into like what's happening around the world, right? There are other people, other countries, other places that are experiencing things at a much more horrifying level than we are here in Australia. And it's this energy of complaining, of commiserating over something that we can't control that actually steals from the present moment. It steals from us, it robs from other people. And then going back to this example of this class I was just teaching, this particular person stopped class to announce why she was frustrated because she did not perceive that the music was a yoga beat. And what is a yoga beat anyway? What is yoga music, right? And that that she wasn't in it, right? And that kind of jarred the whole class. Everyone was it changed the energy of the room. I could feel people got a little bit uncomfortable. And so I addressed the situation while people were in down dog. And I said, look, let's use all of this as an opportunity. It just goes right back down to that truth theme, Satya, that we were talking about. What is actually true, right? What can you actually cultivate right now? And the only thing you really can do is cultivate your awareness through the breath. You can't change the fact that, a cover's come in and done something stylistically different from what you're used to, your routine. You're used to a certain teacher every Sunday, right, for X amount of days, months, weeks, years, right? You're used to, the last several months, we've been quite lucky here in Australia to be able to, especially, well, not in all of Australia, but where I am in New South Wales, we've had a lot of freedoms that a lot of the world has not been able to experience, right? So here you are, you're set in this routine of close to normalcy. And then now everything's disrupted. And so now we're frustrated. And so to go into an energy of complaining versus into observing and witnessing and speaking your immediate frustration, it robs from other people's experiences. Because what if, someone is actually having a very deep, blissful experience from the music that you just don't resonate with, right? So whether we have a positive reaction to something or a negative, whatever the inclination is, what we really need to do to practice Asteya, non-stealing, is to not attach to the positive or the negative. We want to come to a place of neutrality, give it some space, and wait to see if what we're going to say is going to rob from our own experience and also from other people's experiences. And that was just an interesting reflection, a microcosm of what's happening around Australia right now. And this can really be applied off the mat, off the yoga mat, to people complaining about, I can't go to, this place that I've planned to travel to or visit family or friends because of this outbreak. And then it goes into this blamey, complaining, commiserating energy. And that robs from the potential and the possibility of us looking for what's true, what's present. How can I actually, make lemonade out of lemons, if you will? How can I cultivate more peace in the midst of conflict and chaos? And this is really the yoga practice. This is, going back to Yoga Philosophy 101, this is the whole point of the yoga practice. And so I just wanted to share that because it was so interesting, and it was also it was definitely a moment of conflict, and it was a big test for me as a teacher to see how I would deal with this trigger. And I thought that it was also a beautiful reflection of what's happening in the world, the micro-macro connection. So I just wanted to share about Asteya, non-stealing, from that perspective, from a personal and a global level. And I invite you to look at where in your speech, your satya, your truth, your truthfulness, where it is that you can perhaps, refine a little bit more of before you take away from your own experience of peace, of happiness, of joy, of love, and also from other people. Because maybe that complaining energy, your frustrations, is not what other people need to hear right now. Maybe that will induce more stress and anxiety in them, right? So how can we become more of this ahimsa, more of this satya, more of this asteya, more nonviolence, more truth, more non-stealing, and more present to what is really important, right? And that's just something I wanted to share today. So thank you for listening, and I'll be talking a lot more about the Yoga Sutras in the coming weeks, going back to Yoga Philosophy 101. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.